All right, today we're going to break down something pretty wild. It's the story of how a tool that's meant to make life easier actually became a master key for hackers. We're talking about one single flaw, a tiny crack that could give an attacker total control.
I mean, really think about that for a second. What if just one tiny flaw could hand a hacker the keys to your entire digital kingdom? We're not talking about a weak password or an unlocked door. We're talking about a crack in the very foundation of a piece of software that connects, pretty much everything. And yeah, that's exactly what we're diving into.
So the platform at the center of all this is called N8n. And to really get why this is such a big deal, you first have to understand what N8n actually is. The best way to think about it, it's like a company's all-powerful digital butler.
You know, NN is kind of like the digital glue holding a company's entire operation together. It's this awesome, invisible force that lets all your different apps and services talk to each other. It connects your databases, your cloud storage, all your APIs. I mean, it is the central command center. And because of that, you can see why it would be an incredibly valuable and incredibly dangerous target for an attacker.
And that brings us to the crack in the vault, the vulnerability itself. It was discovered by a researcher named Dor Attias over at Sierra Research Labs, and they gave it this perfectly dramatic name, Ni8mare. And honestly, its severity score, well, that tells you everything you need to know.
10.0. That number right there says it all. On the CVSS scale, the common vulnerability scoring system, a 10 is perfect. It's the absolute max. Think of it like a Category 5 hurricane in the cybersecurity world. It doesn't get any worse. It means the flaw is critical. It's super easy to exploit. You don't even need a password. And the impact? Utterly catastrophic.
So its official tag, the one that goes into all the global security databases, is CVE 2026-21858. But let's be honest, Ni8mare just captures the feeling so much better, right? It really tells you what you're dealing with if you're running a vulnerable version of this thing.
And get this wasn't some isolated one-off thing. Not even close. As you can see, Ni8mare was actually the fourth critical vulnerability found in NN in just a few weeks, and two of the others were also perfect 10s. This really starts to paint a picture, doesn't it? It shows just how much scrutiny these powerful glue platforms are under, and it highlights the massive risks that come with having one central hub connected to everything.
Okay, so how does a hacker actually pull this off? Well, at its core, it's a surprisingly simple case of mistaken identity. I love this analogy. Imagine you have a mailroom clerk who's only supposed to handle big packages. That's what the system expects, a multi-part/form data request. But because of this flaw, an attacker can walk up and hand the clerk a regular letter instead. The clerk gets confused but tries to process the letter like a package anyway. And in that moment of confusion, the attacker can basically trick the clerk into opening and reading any other piece of mail in the entire building, any file on the server. It's that simple. So that one simple moment of confusion is all it takes to open the door for what is basically a perfect digital heist. So let's walk through it. Here are the 5 steps an attacker with 0 credentials can take to go from nothing to total server domination.
Okay, let's break down how this heist goes down, step by step. It starts with step 1, read any file. The attacker uses that mailroom trick we just talked about to start reading files on the server, and they're smart about it. Their first target leads directly to steps 2 and 3, steal the database and extract admin secrets. They literally just read the n8n database file and the configuration files, grabbing the administrator's login info and, this is the crucial part, the system's secret encryption key. Now for the masterstroke. Step 4, forge a master key. With the admin's info and that secret key, the attacker can just create their own fake login cookie. It tricks N8n into thinking they are the administrator, completely bypassing the login page. And finally, step 5, seize command. Now that they're in as an admin, they just create a new workflow that lets them execute commands on the server itself. And at that point, it's game over. They have complete and total control.
So we keep saying full control, but what does that really mean here? Well, the consequences, what the pros call the blast radius of an attack like this, are just absolutely massive. You know, the researchers at Sierra who found this, they put it perfectly. They said that because NN is that central connector, compromising it isn't like breaking into just one system. No, it's like being handed the master key to everything.
And that's the real kicker. An attacker doesn't just get control of the NN server itself. They get the keys to the entire kingdom. It's an absolute goldmine. We're talking API credentials for your cloud services, OAuth tokens for other apps, connection details for all your databases, literally every secret that NN uses to connect to your other tools. It becomes this massive single point of failure.
Okay, that's a lot of doom and gloom. So how do you actually defend against something this serious? Well, the good news is there are very clear, actionable steps you can take to lock the doors and get your system secure.
First things first, you got to check your version number. It's super simple. If you're running any version of n8n up to and including 1.65.0, you are vulnerable. The patch came in version 1.121.0. So if your version is lower than that, you are at risk. You need to update like right now.
So yeah, number one recommendation obviously is upgrade immediately. But beyond that, this is a good reminder about basic security hygiene, best practices. Don't expose your n8n instance directly to the internet if you absolutely don't have to. Make sure you're enforcing authentication on all your forms and workflows. And be super careful with any public webhooks, because that's the front door the attacker uses for this specific heist.
And all of this really leaves us with a big important question to think about, doesn't it? These tools, like n8n, they are incredibly powerful. They give us so much convenience by putting everything in one place. But as a vulnerability like Ni8mare shows us, that same centralization creates this one giant glowing target for attackers. It really forces us to ask ourselves, is all the convenience of total automation worth the risk of a total compromise?